Welcome to our talk about building richer skill experiences with Alexa Presentation Language and Alexa Conversations. My name is Kai Lerch and I'm a solutions architect for Alexa Presentation Language. With me today are my colleagues Sam Ingba and Kumudini Manda. You will hear from them later in our presentation. Let's dive in. If you are already familiar with Alexa skill development, you know that there are actually many options and features you can use to bring your Alexa skill experience to the next level. In this session, we are going to focus on two of the most powerful extensions for Alexa skills. Alexa Presentation Language, or APL, is a responsive layout language that enables you to build multimodal experiences for Alexa-enabled screens and more. And Alexa Conversations, that allows you to create natural human-like voice experiences and skills by using Alexa's deep learning-based technology. 2021 was an exciting year for Alexa customers and skill developers. Among many other cool new products and features, we've launched this: the all-new Echo Show 15, with a full HD smart display and an incredible new home screen experience, to be enjoyed in landscape and in portrait mode. We are so excited to see how you continue to build experiences for devices like Echo Show 15 for our shared customers, and how you enrich your skill experiences by using one of the newly introduced features and device capabilities. In fact, with any of our newly introduced features, there comes a set of great opportunities for Alexa skills as well. With new screen devices, the number of Alexa screen owners is growing day by day, making it even more vital to add an appealing visual experience to your skills. New screen characteristics, input modalities, and device capabilities bring new innovative ways to engage with Alexa skill users. Related to that, accessibility features in APL allow you to build for and delight even more Alexa skill users. Lastly, a set of recent APL updates was focused on improving multimodal experiences, with visual animations, sound mixing, and more. On the voice side, there are also new opportunities for skills. Alexa expands to new locales and languages like Arabic. With customers getting more sophisticated and experienced with Alexa, we've seen new usage patterns arise, and there is an increased expectations from users to interact with Alexa even more naturally. I get it. These opportunities sound great, but what about the effort to pick them up and take advantage? Many new features require some level of action from developers to integrate them into their skills. We've seen developers ask us, how do I get started? And more specifically, should I get started? Meaning, how do I understand the value a feature can provide for my use case? Secondly, it takes time to understand a new feature or learn a new tool. It might take even more time to get enough experience to use this feature in an optimal way. Some of you might also fear to make their skills unmaintainably complex by adding a feature that isn't fully understood. Have you had any of these challenges or concerns? Then there is good news for today. We've got solutions. Today we'd like to talk about templates that you can use to build easy prototypes and to adopt and evaluate new features easily. Also, we will introduce hands-on learning features that allow you to learn as you go, and best practices to go beyond acquiring just basic knowledge. Next, we will talk about tools and tech to help you reduce complexity and implement features efficiently. At the end of this talk, you will have a better understanding of what to use and where to go in order to get started, or step up your game with APL and Alexa Conversations. Let me hand it over to Kumudini to dive deeper into APL.
Thank you, Kai. Hi, I'm Kumudini Manda, Product Manager for APL. Before we dive into the features, let us look at what is APL. APL stands for Alexa Presentation Language. It is the easiest way to reach millions of Alexa customers on devices with screens. APL is a graphical UI framework for creating visual responses for Alexa devices with screens. Why use APL? Number 1, possibilities. APL opens up more use cases, interactions, and modalities. You can elevate the experiences you build with a variety of new content using visual interface, motion, layered audio, etc. Number 2, engagement and reach. On an average, APL-based multimodal skills see more than 3 times the amount of monthly active users compared to voice-only skills on the same devices. To top it all, APL is supported on an ever-expanding list of Amazon and third-party devices. Number 3, value. APL-built experiences give opportunities to monetize premium content using in-skill purchasing, integrate with Alexa shopping actions, or earn potential skill developer accelerator program incentives. Number 4, community. APL has a vibrant community of hundreds of peer developers sharing thousands of APL layouts on APL Ninja, a third-party social platform for Alexa developers. We all want to build skills that connect with our users, add value to their lives, and keep them coming back for more. APL gives you the tools you need to create those type of experiences. Here is a snapshot of our innovations over just the past year. As you can see, we are continuously working towards making it better, faster, and easier to build APL experiences. So now that we have given you a few reasons to use APL, let us look at what adding multimodality to skill looks like. Until now, to successfully add a visual experience to your skill, you would learn APL by referring to the tech documentation. You would then proceed to building an APL document using the APL authoring tool on the developer console or a social platform like APL Ninja. Once you build the visual response or the APL document, you would save it to your skill repository and hand code APL directives in your code editor, and then proceed to integrate the visuals into your skill lambda. We often heard you say, "What if I could add visuals to my skills in minutes?" Today, I am excited to introduce the Multimodal Response Builder. It is a feature that eliminates the need for you to learn and apply APL concepts to build a responsive visual, and it eliminates the need to hand code APL skill directives. It gives you a ready-made code snippet you can plug into your skill right away. This also proves to be one of the features that will let you quickly try, implement, and evaluate the value provided by APL for your use case. Multimodal Response Builder is a new guided walkthrough that brings multiple steps that developers must take to create a visual skill response to just 3 quick and easy steps. Moreover, it also auto-generates the code you need to integrate a visual response that you built with either the Multimodal Response Builder or APL Ninja into your skill code. To access the Multimodal Response Builder, you would navigate to the Multimodal Responses tab and click on Create with Response Builder. Once you enter the builder, the APL interface on Developer Console is auto-enabled for you to indicate that the skill is going to send APL responses. For those who are familiar with APL and APL authoring tool on Developer Console, you can still continue to use the existing authoring tool functionality by clicking on Create with Authoring Tool. You will then be presented with a range of responsive templates demonstrating the most common design patterns that render beautifully on a broad range of Alexa devices. In the first step, you will select a template that best suits your use case for a visual to be displayed for your skill. On the second step, we have abstracted the editable fields for you on the templates so that you can quickly customize the templates with the details you want to fill in. You can also see how your template looks on different viewports as you customize the template. Please note that any changes you make on the templates are auto-saved to your skill repository, which means you no longer have to worry for your changes to be lost in case you need to navigate away from the page. you can get back to your work in progress template from the multimodal response listing page. Preview and test is the last step in creating your responsive visual. You can additionally test your visual on a real device with the send option. Once you are done building a visual response, you could decide to integrate the visual to your skill, create another visual, or go to the authoring tool for further customizing the response with advanced interactions like animations and commands. For the purpose of this demo, let us integrate the visual response we just created to our skill. On the Integrate step, you will be prompted to build to ensure that the APL responses that are saved is also made available to your Lambda for use. You will also see the auto-generated skill code that you can copy and plug into your skill for the visual to be integrated to your skill. Please ensure that the build on the skill is successful for the plugged-in code to be functional in your skill. You can get back to your visual response to edit either in Response Builder or in the authoring tool from your responses list in the Multimodal Responses tab. You can additionally refer to the auto-generated skill code for your visual response by clicking on the Integrate option. If you were looking to receive auto-generated skill code for any of your APL documents, including the documents built outside of Multimodal Response Builder, we got you covered. Firstly, you will need to ensure that the APL documents are saved to your skill under the Multimodal Responses tab. If you wish to port APL documents from the popular social platform APL Ninja to Developer Console, use the SMAPI integration option to sync your document. On the Developer Console, under Multimodal Responses tab, you then click on Integrate option for the APL documents associated with your skill to see the auto-generated skill code that you can plug to your skill Lambda. To recap, wherever you are in your skill builder journey, if you are just starting out and want to quickly customize responsive visual templates, or you want to quickly integrate your visuals on APL Ninja to your skill, Multimodal Response Builder is the feature for you. Let us see what our partners had to say about the Multimodal Response Builder. The developers were particularly thrilled about the ease of use, auto-save, and the ability to auto-generate skill code for any APL document. Did you know that APL also allows you to include audio responses from Alexa, Poly voices, sound effects, and music to your skills? With APL for audio, you could create audio responses where all these different audio effects can be mixed together. We recognize that skill builders would like to understand and try out samples before they dive deep into using the features in their skills. I am happy to announce that you will now see the templates for each of these main APLA components right in the Developer Console. These templates on APLA authoring tool translate into APLA document type to define the audio experiences. You can access APL for audio templates by navigating to Multimodal Responses on Developer Console and clicking on Create Audio Response under Audio tab. Each of these samples demonstrate creating rich audio experiences for use within your custom skills. If you would like to play a set of audio clips at the same time, or render a single audio clip selected from an array of possible clips, or if you would just like to play a series of audio clips one after the other, you can see and preview a sample for each of these use cases on the APLA authoring tool. Hope we have excited you enough. Get building and go multimodal. With that, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Kai, who will show us more things APL.
Thanks, Kumudini. I really like these new templates and the way the Multimodal Response Builder helps to add APL in almost no time. It is indeed a great start to learn APL as you go. Let me explain. As Kumudini already said, the Response Builder creates fully fledged APL documents from a set of pre-baked templates. The next step in your APL journey would be to examine and further customize the generated APL by picking it up in the APL authoring tool. That might actually be the first time you are looking at APL template code. And our technical documentation for APL will help you understand the functional details of each contained APL component. So here we are. The technical documentation for APL provides useful information about the entire APL specification. It provides a few sample code snippets and screenshots as well. But that's currently not enough to go back and get your hands dirty. So you're navigating back to the APL authoring tool, or our developer community platform tool, APL Ninja, or an IDE of your choice, in order to apply your new APL knowledge. You would then go back to learning from the tech docs. We turn to the code editor and build and learn and build and... Okay, this could be easier, right? I'm excited to announce Code Sandbox. It's a simple idea with a powerful impact. Code Sandbox are code editors that are spread across and integrated into the APL technical documentation. Instead of screenshots and code snippets, which, by the way, continue to exist, you've embedded lightweight versions of APL authoring tool that you can interact with. What can it do? Well, let's have a look and zoom in. As part of Code Sandbox, there is an APL code editor. This editor is pre-populated with an APL sample that is relevant to the documentation it is surrounded by. In this example, the sandbox demonstrates the use of progress bars in APL. The preview window on the right shows their look and feel. And you can change viewport profiles to get previews for different screen sizes and shapes as well. Like an authoring tool, you can set and change the data source payload of an APL document. You can now play around with an APL sample, change it, break it, fix it, all right inside the tech docs. You can even take this sample code with you by copying it and pasting it into the APL authoring tool of your choice. It's really that simple. I encourage you to take a look and give it a try by navigating to our APL technical documentation pages. I found it tremendously helpful not just to read about an APL component or feature, but to actually work on it and look at it. Now that we've covered learning the basics of APL, let's turn our attention to knowledge that you would normally get from practicing and experiencing technology over a longer period of time. I'm talking about best practices, or how to do it right. Don't get me wrong. Learning fundamental APL from our documentation and authoring tools will already bring you far enough to build engaging APL experiences. Still, there are concepts and aspects in APL which will become more important once you're extending your APL skill experiences. Like, how do I support responsiveness, localization, accessibility, page navigation, you name it. But don't worry, experienced APL developers have already approached these aspects in different ways, and we thought it was time to document and share our learnings and observations, useful tips, and effective strategies. Today I'd like to announce 2 best practice guides. The first one is dedicated to planning for and building APL projects as a developer. We think that there is a lot of benefit in creating a good plan on how to set up and structure your APL projects and components, and how you would start from an already existing voice experience. Following this guide, you will get a big picture of how your visual user flows will look like, and what might be the best approach to break up your design into APL documents, layouts, pages, and views. But this guide is not just for those who set up an APL project from scratch. There are best practices for building APL that can also be applied to existing templates. How do I make visual components reusable? How to make best use of static and dynamic data bindings? And how do I prepare my templates for localization? Also important, how do I decrease the time it takes the screen to render my APL document? In fact, there are many do's and don'ts to achieve performance-optimized APL templates. For example, did you know that reducing and reusing APL text components generally is a good idea? If you are interested in getting more of these useful tips, don't miss out on this guide. The second best practice guide that we are introducing today is about accessibility. Alexa continues to open possibilities and new ways to experience the world. Alexa's accessibility features are helping people to be more connected, more entertained, and more independent. Let me give you an example of what APL can do to address the needs of customers with low vision or visual impairments. Do you know about Voice View? It is a screen reader included with Echo Screen devices. When enabled, Voice View allows those who are blind or have impaired vision to use gestures to navigate the device, while Voice View reads aloud the actions made on screen. Since APL 1.5, Voice View is supported in APL skills which have set accessibility labels. Our internal teams at Alexa Shopping have become forerunners in terms of launching experiences that are equally accessible to all customers, regardless of their abilities. I'm very happy that this team has put together a guide that it is now sharing with the Alexa developer community. In this document, you will find technical guidelines for enabling accessibility in your APL documents as you are developing them. The APL Best Practices for Developers Guide and the APL Accessibility Guide are now available. Please follow these links to start reading. That is APL. Let's talk about Alexa Conversations. I'm now handing it over to Sam.
Thank you, Kai. Hi, I'm Sam Ingbar, Solutions Architect for Alexa Conversations. It's fantastic that we now have so many new tools that make APL and APLA more accessible. It's great that we can increase engagement with customers on all of our multimodal devices. Alexa Conversations is a similarly powerful tool for driving customer engagement. It's an emerging technology suite that allows you to gracefully build more engaging experiences for all devices. As we talk about Alexa Conversations, I want to reuse the same mental models we've applied to APL. Let's start with what Alexa Conversations is and why it adds value. Alexa Conversations solves a specific problem. When creating voice experiences, developers often design for cases where users say a specific set of utterances in a specific order. These utterances are well supported, and it will lead to a good outcome for the customer. We call this the happy path. Traditional intent-based skill development is designed to define and cover interactions where the user behaves in ways that the developer anticipates. However, customers often deviate from the happy path. A lot of the work in developing voice experiences goes into steering the user back toward the happy path after a deviation. Alexa Conversations helps simplify management of interactions that deviate from the happy path. It does this by using a modeling layer to determine the appropriate response action instead of handling it in code. The modeling layer is natively multi-turn. That means it takes all the information provided across the entire session as an input and not just the active turn. The role of the skill code is to assist with gathering additional information. For example, if the customer gives a departure date, airline, and flight route, the skill may need the backend to look up and send relevant flights. There are two development tools for creating the synthetic training data used to train a skill model that handles the conversational experience. The first is a graphical experience in the developer console, which may look familiar to many of you. The second is an experience in your development environment of choice using a language called Alexa Conversations Description Language, often called ACDL. We launched the graphical experience to public beta at Alexa Live in 2020 and to general availability last spring. And we announced the public beta of ACDL a year ago at Alexa Live. Today, I'm going to be focused on what we're doing to make ACDL simultaneously more powerful and more accessible. ACDL is an important language for you to know because in the future, we'll be leaning into the language further and you'll be able to author intents and slots right alongside conversational assets. So why is it a good idea to use Alexa Conversations? In short, it makes for more engaging customer experience. As an example, the team behind Alexa's gifting experience set out to validate the hypothesis that an Alexa Conversations-based gifting experience would be more engaging than the previous gifting customer experience. When they ran the test, they found that customers engaged in an increased number of turns per session and that customers took actions to follow up on search results more often on AC. Many of our users are coming to similar conclusions, and Alexa Conversations is now the technology behind multiple major Alexa skills and features with millions of users. The conversational benefits are biggest for specific types of skills. These can be lumped into 3 broad categories. The first are task-oriented. Task-oriented skills are skills where the user is trying to accomplish one or more tasks with voice. Second is search-oriented. Search-oriented skills are skills where the user is searching a catalog and asking questions about items in their search. And third is form-filling. Form-filling skills are skills or features where the user is filling out settings or other complex information via voice. Alexa Conversations makes these types of activities much less rigid than an equivalent approach with intents. So this all sounds great, but maybe it's a little bit overwhelming to get started. We're excited to share a couple of ways that we're making it easier to learn ACDL than ever before. Most exciting is the launch of reusable skill components. Reusable skill components are pre-built ACDL features that can be installed into your skill with NPM. We will eventually launch 5 initial components to developer preview. Today, we're launching feedback elicitation and list navigation. Feedback elicitation, account linking, and in-skill purchasing are, in my opinion, more simple components that add a specific functionality to your skill. The simpler components are great learning tools for new developers and useful quick setup options for more experienced developers. List navigation and category search and refine are patterns that enable an entire skill or skill segment once responses and user utterances are configured. In fact, category search and refine is so fleshed out that Red Bull recently used an alpha version of this component as the basis for their podcast search experience with great success. Let's see the Red Bull skill in action.
Alexa, open the Red Bull skill.
Welcome back to the world of Red Bull. I have podcasts on BMX Flatland, surfing and more. I can also give you wings. What would you like?
Show me a podcast on running.
We're thinking about running to have fun.
For running I run for fun. This week is all about putting the fun back into your run. Aaron and Ao speak to Wesley Buttstrain, a big bearded man in a bright pink suit from the Wings for Life World Run. Want to start it?
How long is it?
The episode is 38 minutes. Want to start it?
No, show me another one.
Next up is I run to connect with my environment. Want to start it?
No, show me one about swimming.
Did I put all this work in? Am I actually going to make it?
For swimming I found the cancer survivor who swam the channel 4 times. Marathon swimmer Sarah Thomas tells Rob about her incredible journey, from beating breast cancer to becoming the first person ever to complete 4 consecutive crossings of the English Channel. Want to start it?
How long is it?
The episode is 33 minutes. Want to start it?
Yes.
Now playing the cancer survivor who swam the channel 4 times.
Sarah Thomas is on the final leg of a record-breaking 4-way English Channel crossing.
Now, let's hear from John G., voice producer and member of the Alexa development community who worked on the Red Bull skill.
Red Bull has been exploring creative uses of voice technology for years. With this latest release, a key focus of the team was improving the conversational discovery experience across Red Bull's audio catalog. Finding media with your voice can be challenging, especially if you don't quite know what you're looking for, or if you do know what you want, but you don't know what it's called. To help listeners discover audio content using more natural language, we created an Alexa Conversations model built around 2 key pillars of the Red Bull universe: sports and athletes. To create the bridge between Alexa Conversations and the podcast catalog, we enhanced Red Bull's audio APIs with more optimized conversational metadata about each episode. Because in a voice context where content structure and titling is more opaque, traditional metadata can be too one-dimensional. Under the hood, our artifacts are authored with Alexa Conversations description language and leverage the new reusable catalog search and refine component of Alexa Conversations, bringing better structure and reusability to the AC developer experience. And using APLA, we weaved short audio snippets directly into the search experience to give customers a sonic taste of each episode as they explore the catalog. This work represents the Red Bull team's 5th cycle of innovation with Alexa, the latest step in an ongoing journey to make the entire world of Red Bull more conversational, from their brand to their product to their media.
Amazing. Great to hear how Alexa Conversations is helping developers. Reusable components are not the only thing we're doing to help you learn as you go. One of the early hurdles developers face when onboarding to ACDL is the time needed to learn how the language works. To help you start more easily, we've created a series of new tutorials. One tutorial is an introduction to ACDL. A second tutorial is a more advanced tutorial focused on extending the basic skill with feedback elicitation component. The final tutorial is a refresh of Pet Match to account for the UI changes since we launched public beta. Taken together, you now have a strong set of tools to learn ACDL and pull code snippets for getting started. You can find tutorials and reusable components at these links. I look forward to hearing from you in the community Slack on your thoughts regarding both of these topics soon. I also want to talk about new features we've launched this year to make managing your skills easier. We've really focused on making skill behavior more predictable, making it easier to fix bugs, and making it easier to maintain your experience globally. Let's start by looking at new ways to manage Alexa Conversations skills around the world. Previously, ACDL skills needed to be broken into separate skills for each locale. UI-based skills using Alexa Conversations were more forgiving and supported multilingual skills, but Alexa Conversations was not supported in every language and locale. Developers had to build support for their features using the interaction model in those unsupported locales. The first thing we've done to eliminate this issue is to support more locations. Last year, we announced public beta support for German, Global English, Japanese, and Spanish. We've since been able to bring these models to production quality. This year, we're excited to bring an even bigger list of new locales to public beta. Alexa Conversations support is coming for Italian, French, Arabic, Hindi, Portuguese, and Spanish for Mexico. We've also updated ACDL with new features to make managing multilingual skills easy. Here, we see the structure of a multi-locale skill in ACDL. We've enabled some cool features to make this easy. First, you can see that prompts can now be managed as a library and then imported into ACDL files instead of being maintained in a responses folder. We've also broken our skill into multiple files instead of a single ACDL file, which is a best practice. We'll talk about why this is helpful in a moment, but before we do, let's look at new ACDL artifacts we've introduced so that we can tie everything together. Dialogues, actions, responses, and events can now be tagged to one or more locales using a simple locale decorator. We can then use the variations built-in function to tie them into a global artifact. By decorating our events and responses and creating global artifacts, it's easy to write dialogues that service multiple locales at the same time. To extend an existing skill, we just need to add our translated events and responses, register them with the appropriate locale handlers, and update our global artifacts, and then update the decorators for our shared dialogues to include the new locale. The friction of the past is history. We also heard from developers that writing complex dialogue patterns sometimes resulted in unexpected model behavior. Correcting these patterns required additional dialogues, and fixes were sometimes fragile. We've created dialogue policies as a direct response to this challenge. Dialogue policies share the common trait of all being deterministic. This means that when the criteria you specify as a developer in your ACDL is met, it will always be applied to the session as you've defined it. 4 policies are available for US English skills. The first is conditionality. Historically, conditions in Alexa Conversations were applied by creating training data that followed each conditional outcome and then counting on the model to make the correct prediction at runtime. Like any modeling solution, the accuracy was not always perfect. The conditionality policy applies conditional logic at runtime and enforces the proper action. The second policy is argument validation. It offloads simple validations from your code to the skill runtime. For example, if we only want to accept flights into our skill if the starting city is New York City, we can write a validation rule in the ACDL itself, and the skill will know to only accept New York City. The third policy is the argument order policy. Historically, the order the skill elicited arguments from a user was random. With this policy, you can specify the order of elicitation. The final policy is context reset. This policy resets the context of a specific argument, API action, or the entire skill when a given API action is successfully invoked. So, what does this mean? Well, it means that the logic from your policies will always be enforced, solving the predictability issue from the past. It also means that you can load more validation, logic, and state management into the skill layer. This reduces the number of dialog examples you may need to write, and also decreases the complexity of your skill code. Policies unlock new experiences that, in the past, simply were not possible. We're excited to see what you're able to create with these new tools. Even with policies in place to help, sometimes a specific problematic utterance might not be handled as expected, especially as skill complexity increases. In the past, we heard that it was challenging for developers to understand why a failure is happening or to determine how they should correct it. The model feedback tool simplifies correcting bugs in skill behavior, like the one seen here. We want the skill to return results when given this input, but instead it's asking for the city of departure. The traditional way to fix this is to add more dialog examples, build the skill, check if the issue is fixed, repeat, until the behavior changed. This could be quite painful and also introduce new regressions along the way. The dialog evaluation tool simplifies this. The tool runs in the ASK CLI and allows us to first see model predictions for each turn we enter into the tool. Second, it lets us make corrections within that testing experience. We can correct events, slots, responses, and API action predictions using the tool. When we indicate we want to edit a response, we're given an opportunity to correct the types and slot values, then the response, and finally the prediction itself. When we exit the editor, our corrections will be converted by the tool into a new ACDL file in our skill that converts the corrections into an auto-generated dialog. The dialog will fix the bug as long as we don't generate a directly conflicting dialog in the same skill later. After running a new build, our previous dialog now looks like this. No guess and check debugging required. Taken as a package, these tools dramatically increase your multi-turn skill building capabilities. You can jumpstart your learning and development with components or tutorials, expand to multiple locales in a few minutes, manage complex scenarios with dialog policies, and correct bugs with the dialog evaluation tool. So by now, I expect you're itching to get started. Here are a few key links that will take you deeper into the topics we covered today. Make sure to join the developer preview for reusable components. In addition, make sure to leverage the resources we've talked about today to help you in your journey. Back to you, Kai.
Thanks, Sam. After we've learned about enriching skills with APL and Alexa Conversations, let's wrap it up by coming back to one of my initial slides. We learned about Multimodal Response Builder and APLA templates to help you add APL to your skills easily and get a sense of what it provides to your skill almost instantly. Secondly, we introduced you to Code Sandbox to provide a learning-as-you-go experience with integrated code editors into our APL tech docs. We've also announced 2 APL best practice guides for skill developers. Best practices don't stop with knowledge transfer. Reusable components in Alexa Conversations and responsive layouts in APL are just 2 great examples of how Amazon also provides implemented best practices as code packages. Alexa Conversations Dialog Evaluation tool takes it even further, as it helps to correct course and have more visibility and a better understanding of model behavior. Last but not least, Sam introduced Alexa Conversations Description Language, or ACDL, as your best friend to significantly reduce the effort to build natural conversations into your skills. Finally, let me remind you of Alexa Learning Lab, which was already introduced earlier today. It is a great example of how all these support assets don't live in isolation. Alexa Learning Lab is a technical e-learning solution that enables developers to practice while learning. As part of its initial launch, there is a learning module for starting with APL that I recommend you to check out. Thank you for your time. We can't wait to see what you will build next with APL and Alexa Conversations.